Good morning. Today we'll learn about estrogens. This is a part of hormones where we'll be talking about estrogens, progesterones, oral contraceptive pills, and HRT, hormonal replacement therapy. So we'll just get into this. First, let's talk about estrogen. Where is it synthesized? Few aspects about its pharmacological action, pharmacokinetics, estrogen preparations, uses, and adverse effects. After that, in the next class, we'll be talking about anti-estrogens like clomiphene citrate, and we'll be talking about SERMs, that is selective estrogen receptor modulators like tamoxifen, raloxifene, and aromatase inhibitors. After that, we'll be talking about progesterones, the preparations, and anti-progesterones. After this, we'll be talking about oral contraceptive pills, which are a combination of estrogens plus progesterones, and we'll be talking about HRT, that is hormone replacement therapy. So first, let's look into estrogens. So estrogen is synthesized in the body, where predominantly in the reproductive phase it's synthesized from the ovaries and also from the adrenal medulla. So here you will be able to see theca cells, which are synthesizing testosterone from cholesterol, which is converted to estradiol, which is aromatase by the enzyme aromatase. This is in adrenal medulla. From zona reticularis, we will be getting androstenedione, which is going to be converted to estrogen, which is converted to estrogen, estrione and estradiol with the help of the enzyme aromatase. So, what are the important aspects that we learned? We learned that there are several enzymes which are involved, and predominantly the enzyme which is involved is going to be aromatase enzyme, which converts androstenedione and testosterone to estradiol or estradiol to estrione. So aromatase enzyme is the predominant one which is going to play the role. Remember that, we'll come back to it a little later. So classification of estrogens: we have natural estrogens, those synthesized in the body, the graphene follicle, placenta, corpus luteum, adrenal medulla. So we have estradiol, estrione, estriol. Estradiol is also produced from aromatization of testosterone in testis and extraglandular tissues, predominantly in males. These are naturally produced in the body. These are very short acting. Estradiol, which is in the pregnant, which is in the reproductive age group, which is produced. Estrione is produced when estrione is produced in the menopause. So let's look into these are fastly metabolized, rapidly metabolized, so these can't be given for any kind of a therapy. So we have synthetic estrogens. In synthetic estrogens, we have two categories: steroidal and non-steroidal. Steroidal, we have ethylene estradiol, tibolone, and mestranol. Non-steroidal, we have diethylstilbestrol. Diethylstilbestrol is known to cause vaginal cancer, so in the fetus, in the newborns, so we don't use it anymore. Steroidal, among these we commonly use ethylene estradiol. So for all our preparations, ethylene estradiol, that's the estrogen preparation which is going to be used. What is the mechanism of action of estrogen? Estrogen is a steroid hormone, so it will have on the estrogen nuclear receptors. Before that, once it is synthesized and released, it reaches the blood. In the blood, it binds with the SHBG, that is sex hormone binding alpha to globulin and also to albumin. Once these reach the organs, they are going to bind to the estrogen receptors. Estrogen receptors are of predominantly two types: alpha and beta. Where are these? Estrogen receptor beta is present in the prostate and ovaries. Alpha is present in the female genital tract, breast, hypothalamus, bone, endothelial cells, and vascular smooth muscles. So estrogen receptor alpha is in the female genital tract, breast, bone, and vascular smooth muscles. Very important to remember. So what we understand by female genital tract? Cervix, vagina, uterus, endometrium, all of this is going to be there. So beta, prostate, and ovaries. What is the mechanism of action? In the blood, it's going to bind to the transporter, that is sex hormone binding alpha 2 globulin. This is transported into the cell after binding to the estrogen receptor. Once it binds with the estrogen receptor, it enters into the nucleus. In the nucleus, it's going to bind to the site of estrogen receptor. Is estrogen recognition site. Once it binds to this, it's going to produce mRNA, which is going to increase protein synthesis, which is going to produce the effect. So this will be the mechanism of action of estrogen. Let's look into what are the physiological actions, pharmacological actions or physiological actions. In the female reproductive tract is where alpha, estrogen receptor alpha is present. It is going to help in the pubertal growth and development of uterus, fallopian tubes, and vagina. Secondary sexual characters like the development of breasts, ducts, stroma, accumulation of the fat, and secondary characteristics like growth of axillary and pubic hair, female body contour, behavior, all of this is going to be affected by estrogen. In the puberty, both estradiol and estrogen are going to increase during puberty. What happens? Continuation with the female reproductive system. What happens in the female reproductive tract? There will be thickening and cornification of vaginal epithelium, proliferation of uterine endometrium in the pre-ovulatory phase, and secretion becomes watery and sensitizes uterus to oxytocin. So if you are looking at what is the role of estrogen, simple. Estrogen is going to help in, we'll just come back to the slide. Estrogen is going to help in thickening of the endometrium. It will help in reaching of the sperm into the fallopian ducts. So how is it going to help? So the secretions are going to be watery so that it helps sperm penetration, and uterus is going to sensitize. Mild contractions are going to be there, so it pushes the sperm up towards the fallopian tube. Next, endometrial proliferation. Before ovulation, endometrial proliferation is going to happen, and it is also going to thicken and cornification, so that there is less of mucus secretion in the vagina, allowing the sperm to pass. This will be the role of estrogen in a ovulatory cycle. What are the metabolic effects? It's anabolic, weaker than testosterone, but at anabolic. It promotes fusion of epiphyses. That is, after puberty, the growth is going to be minimal. Once there is increased production of estrogen and testosterone, so because it causes fusion of the epiphyses. Weak diabetogenic action can be there. It can produce glucose intolerance. Fat glucose tolerance can be there, and it can cause sodium water retention. So weight gain will be there. Sodium water retention. What happens in the bone? In the bone, it's going to retard resorption. That is, means bone breakdown is going to be reduced. In other terms, it can be told as bone mass is going to be maintained. If a lady is in the menopause, her bone mass is going to reduce, which is because of which she is going to be prone for pathological fractures. How does this happen? Differentiation of osteoblasts is going to be reduced, and increased survival osteoblasts into osteoclasts is going to be reduced. Increased survival of osteoblasts and osteocytes. More of osteoblasts and osteocytes, so that these two are the bone forming cells. Osteoblasts and osteocytes are the bone forming cells. These are going to be increased, and osteoclasts are the one which is going to resorb the bone. So that is going to be decreased. So osteoclast is going to be less formed. Osteoblast and osteocytes are going to be more formed. It also increases HDL, that is high density lipoproteins, and triglycerides. Decreases LDL. Blood coagulability is going to increase. Fibrinolytic activity is also increased, and it can cause vasodilatation by release of nitric oxide and prostaglandin I2. These are the physiological actions of estrogens. What are the pharmacokinetic properties of estrogens? Pharmacokinetic properties of estrogens means how they are metabolized. We already know natural estrogens can't be given because orally they can't be given because they are going to be broken down. They are going to be metabolized. So they have to be given either transdermally or injectable. So they are going to be given transdermally or injectable IM. How are these metabolized? They are metabolized, converted into estrogen and estriol in the liver. These are conjugated and they are going to be excreted in bile and urine. These are going to undergo enterohepatic circulation, which is going to help them maintain a prolonged duration of action of ethylene estradiol. So what are the adverse effects? If estrogens are given in male, they can cause gynecomastia, feminization, and loss of libido. In children, fusion of epiphyses, so reduction in the stature, height. Postmenopausal women, they can cause increased risk of irregular bleeding and carcinoma endometrium. Estrogen can also accelerate the growth of breast cancer. And see, if patient has breast cancer on one side and estrogen is given, she can also develop CA breast on the other side. But if you give a low dose of estrogen with HRT plus progesterone, this risk is reduced. Long-term adverse effects, they can increase the risk of formation of gallstones, benign hepatomas, migraine, epilepsy, endometriosis, thromboembolic phenomena. We already learned it's going to increase the blood coagulability profile. Endometriosis could be worsened and fluid retention can happen. The non-steroidal preparations, that is stilbestrol is known to cause vaginal and cervical carcinoma in offspring of the kid of the mother who is taking these tablets, non-steroidal ones. So non-steroidal diethyl stilbestrol is known to cause vaginal CA and CA cervix. So in estrogens, we learnt about natural estrogens, estradiol, estriol, estriol. Synthetic estrogens, we learnt about ethylene estradiol. Non-steroidal, we learnt about diethyl stilbestrol. We learnt about what are the actions of these drugs, how are they synthesized, what is the action of how are they synthesized, what is the action of these drugs. Let's look into what are the uses of these drugs. Let's look into the uses. Yeah, it can be used in HRT. What is HRT? Hormone replacement therapy. If a lady has attained menopause, yet you want to replace estrogen in her, so you can give back estrogen in the form of ethylene estradiol. It is also used for contraception. These two concepts will be further elaborating in the upcoming classes. It can be used in senile vaginitis, where there is dryness of the skin, dryness of the vagina, atrophic vaginitis. Here, a topical preparation, ointment, a lotion is used. Delayed puberty in girls, those with ovarian agenesis like Turner syndrome or hypopituitarism, estrogen along with a small dose of androgen is going to be added. This will help them reach appropriate height for their age. Dysfunctional uterine bleeding. In this cyclical addition of estrogen plus progesterone is used to mimic the natural cycles, so that even in dysmenorrhea the same thing is going to be added, estrogen plus progesterone, so that natural cycles are depicted, which is going to reduce dysfunctional uterine bleeding as well as severe dysmenorrhea. Acne, topically it can be used but very rare. This is used to suppress androgen overproduction. And carcinoma, prostate, very rare that we use this. We use finasteride, which is a testosterone antagonist. We rarely tend to use estrogen in carcinoma prostate. So with this we learned about estrogen synthesis, mechanism of action, pharmacological actions of estrogen, estrogen preparations, adverse effects, pharmacokinetics, adverse effects and uses. In the next class we will be talking about what are the estrogen receptor agonists and antagonists. Agonists we learned ethylene estradiol. We have selective estrogen receptor modulators and estrogen receptor antagonist. We already learned estrogen receptors are ER alpha and ER beta. So selective against this or antagonist against this will be learning in the next class.